I love everyone because I'm a loving kind of a guy.
I think you love him.
I love the world. I love everyone in the world. Well, except you, Bazza. I love Fishy. I love AP. Well, I'm fond of Fishy. No, actually, no, I'm not. I've never liked him.
Never liked him.
Nah, never liked him. Because he won't swim in my pool because it's salt water.
And the feces.
Well, and the feces, yes.
200 milligrams for him.
Imagine how many feces would be in my pool because it's never actually been cleaned or it's never been emptied. Oh, it's been emptied once. But it sort of just goes through and goes around the filter. So I reckon there must be about, I don't know, 40 or 50 kilos of turds in my pool.
What about all the the wildlife that hover around all your cameras and things? What about the wildlife that goes into the pool?
If it's getting caught in the filter,
Yes.
you are filtering your water with turd marbles.
Yes. And let me tell you that turd marbles filter water the best. It's the only thing that you should filter your water. You know your Brita water filters that you buy from the shop on TCV.
Have you ever broken one of those cartridges of the Brita filters open?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know what they are?
They're like little spheres.
Yeah, little balls of turd.
Black and white spheres.
Most people think it's carbon filtration, but it's not. It's turds. Because
Really?
let's face it, well, of course it is. Most turds are made up of carbon anyway. Let's face it, everything's made of carbon.
The
Carbon in everything.
most abundant element in the universe.
I rest my case. Once again, I have been proved correct by Fishy, which is virtually the same as being proven correct by the professor, if he was in the room, which he's not.
So why are we after net zero carbon
Excellent question.
when it's the
Excellent
most
question.
abundant element?
Well, what is actually? I did this calculation the other day. Let me just go back to my calculator. 1 million less 460. There's 990,540 other parts per million in the atmosphere, of which 72% is nitrogen. Blah 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 blah. So 460, and I'm being generous there, parts per million carbon dioxide, carbon being the most abundant item in the universe, molecule, atom, whatever you want to call it, and dioxide means two oxygens. We can't live without oxygen. So what's the problem? Like really, what's the problem? Where is the issue?
I can't comment because I don't know what you actually put into your calculator.
Well, I put 1 million minus 460.
1 million what?
Well,
As in parts?
Well, it's parts. Well, it's parts per million. That's what they claim. That's the numbers that they use. So we're using 1 million parts per million. Is that a fair assessment?
Right.
So if you've got 1 million parts in the million parts per million, and you take 460 off, and that's
Where'd you get that? Where'd you get 460?
That's the alleged number that's going to be the tipping point before the Earth turns to shit because of carbon dioxide. Is that a fair assessment? You with me so far? You keeping up?
So it's 460 of what element?
Parts per million carbon dioxide. That's what it says. That's what they're all bitching about. That's what Greta is saying. You ready? You're still with me? You're keeping up here? Or have you gone?
Okay.
You with me?
So CO2.
CO2.
Right. Yep.
So they're saying 460 parts per million of CO2 wipes out the dinosaurs and everything else since, basically,
Right.
including us. So you with me so far?
Yep.
Happy so far? So that leaves 999,540 parts per million that aren't CO2. Right? You with me so far? Now,
Yes.
as you rightly pointed out, carbon is the most abundant element in the universe. Right? Happy so far?
Yep. Yep.
Dioxide means two oxygen atoms, doesn't it?
Does.
So one carbon atom, two oxygen atoms. Is that right?
Yeah.
What do we need to breathe?
So say it again.
One
so-
carbon atom, two oxygen atoms. CO2.
Yeah. Correct.
Happy with me?
Yep.
So far, all good.
Yep.
So therefore, if we have the most abundant element in the universe, i.e. carbon, but we also have two atoms of oxygen, in that same little grouping, that little grouping of 3, 1 carbon atom, 2 oxygen atoms. Oxygen is what? It's the most important thing we need to breathe, isn't it?
And nitrogen.
No, well, let's not be bored with details of the other bloody gases at this point.
You've got to have
but if we don't
a
have
mixture of oxygen and nitrogen.
I understand that, but 76% of the atmosphere is made up of nitrogen, so we're not even going to go down that road. That's like 760,000 parts per million nitrogen. But what do we need? We need oxygen, don't we?
Yeah.
So if we've got 2 parts of oxygen to 1 part carbon, the most important element, the most common element in the universe, but we still have 2 atoms of oxygen, what's the issue? We've got 1 carbon atom, 2 oxygen atoms. We should be thrilled to bits that God himself created CO2.
I don't think that's right.
What part of that statement is not right?
Because you're pulling apart a CO2 molecule and you're then saying it in the same breath. That,
How else am I going to say it? Is there not 3 molecules in CO2?
Yes, but what you're doing...
Well, there you go. That's it. No, sorry, that's all I need to know. No further questions, Your Honour. No further questions, Your Honour.
Yeah.
Next witness. Next witness. Thank you very much.
I don't think it works like that.
I'm pretty sure if I was in a court of law, that's exactly what I would say as the what's that chappie that stands in front of the funny thing in front of the judge in an American courthouse? Counsel. Before the jury looks across at me and goes, "Fuck me, man. That's probably right, you know. We got 2 molecules of oxygen and only 1 of carbon. That can't be bad for us. We need oxygen. So that's got to be good for us." I rest my case, Your Worship.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I win the argument again. I'm not sure where you're going with it. It's not. What part is not correct?
Well, I did chemistry at school.
Right. Well, clearly you didn't do very well at it if you don't understand the basics that I've just described to you. I mean, I couldn't make it any more simple.
I'm trying to tell you, it doesn't quite work like that.
Which bit? Which bit?
The bit where the bit where you're pulling apart a molecule and then treating whatever's left as the correct proportions of oxygen to carbon,
Right.
For every possible other molecule,
Right.
that is a remainder,
Right.
in our atmosphere.
What does a plant do?
And you haven't even factored in nitrogen.
No, well, I'm not worried about nitrogen because we're not worried about nitrogen at this moment.
Which
Nitrogen's not the issue. When did you see Greta Thunberg bitching about nitrogen? No. When did you see all these other fuckers that are rushing to... When did you see the Queen herself going, "Oh, I'm worried about carbon dioxide," and ScoMo going, "Fuck me, the Queen's worried about carbon dioxide. We're going on a plane and we're going to go to Glasgow." Where was nitrogen in all that? Nowhere. Nowhere, was it? Nowhere. Not to be seen. Was it?
Why don't we get a chemist? Why don't you why don't you get a chemist on the phone?
Well, where do I get a fucking chemist at 7 minutes past 10?
Well, where we get other experts from.
All right, hang on a minute.
We'll do it next week.
The Royal Society.
Tim's got a degree in science. Tim in the chat room.
Does he? Well, let's go to Tim in the chat room and ask, am I right? That's what the fuck, isn't it?
It is, yes. Also known as
What
Tim.
the fuck? Am I right? Question mark. And let's just wait for the answer, and I bet it comes back 100% correct. Like, what do plants do? They take away... Oh, hang on, he says no. Well, what do you fucking know about science, you ignorant prick? You're supposed to have a degree. You're supposed to know something. See, this is what's wrong with the current education system.
Supposed to know.
They have no idea what the system
You
is.
wanted to say. Yeah.
Hey?
So you're prepared to be bound by his decision?
No, I never said
Yeah,
that.
60 seconds ago.
No.
And then you even placed a bet that you'll be right, and he doesn't agree with you.
Because he's an ignorant peasant who's done a degree and he's been so bloody sidetracked by
now
the
you're
woke
attacking
culture
his
of
credibility.
Of course I'm
Just-
attacking his
Just
credibility.
hoodwinked by his professors at uni.
Exactly. He's been
Yes.
hoodwinked. Exactly right. He's got no idea what he's talking about now. Hasn't got a clue what he's talking about. Absolutely
So how do
no
you-
idea
how do
whatsoever.
How do you propose that some of the most brilliant minds in the world are educated?
Well, I mean, they're not. That's the problem. They've been hoodwinked.
Facebook?
Oh, well, and bloody Google. That's the problem, is they've all go to bloody Wikipedia. And we know what happens with Wikipedia. Bazza gets there 4 seconds after we've started it, and he's changed the whole thing of it. If Bazza had got onto Greta Thunberg's Wikipedia page before bloody the world had taken notice, then none of this would be happening. I just can't understand where you people are getting off thinking that what I'm saying is incorrect. It's just beyond my comprehension. I just do not understand what your problem is. You're completely wrong.
You know what's actually in your filter?
What?
Diatomaceous earth.
Hey, what filter?
That's what's actually in your filter.
Oh, my pool filter with full of turds.
Full filter. No, yeah, there's not actually. There's little bits of turd trapped in there, but it's trapped in there by the diatomaceous earth.
See how I'm just looking in the chat room, and what the fuck is now trying to what if? See, he's saying so we can easily break up uranium, Scotto, with no issues. Where did I mention uranium? Not a once. See, this is the sort of thing that we
he's talking
have to deal
about
with.
he's talking about molecular theory.
No, it's got nothing to do with molecular theory. It's bloody uranium and all
it
that
has.
bullshit. No.
What has to do with it?
He's trying to deflect the answer because he knows that my theory, and in fact it's not even a theory, I mean it's fact pretty much, is
I think-
based on the truth, not some hoodwinked bloody university degree.
I think he's trying to do a lot more than that, because if you mess around with the uranium, you don't just have problems. You have a nuclear event.
Well, I'm not sure where you're going with that, AP. Okay,
Well-
easy to split up CO2. Well, of course it is. You just whip off a bit of a carbon atom, stick it in the bottom of the drawer, next thing you know, you've got 2 oxygen atoms, everyone's happy. What do plants do? What do they take in? They take CO2, what do they give you back? 2 molecules of oxygen. There you go. It's not that hard, is it?
So the theory of life can be explained by photosynthesis.
Correct. Where would we be without it? Where
You'd
would
be
the world be without photosynthesis?
Be about where Lazy's good with the gifts tonight.
He's
Be about
on
where
fire,
Lazy
isn't he?
is out of it.
You can't argue with photosynthesis. Once again, educational, Net FM, Vinyl Lounge Show. Scotto, 100% correct, as usual. 22 years, 23 years, 1,003 shows. Ever been wrong? No. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Well, I'm not hearing any arguments from anyone in any of the studios, so what does that tell me?
Fair bit of laughter.
That's only because you're so embarrassed by your ignorance. That's the problem.
Right. Yes.
Ah, Susie Quattro, boys and girls. We love a bit of this. Back to 1973. We're in my happy 70s period. This is probably what's going to be on the Safe Space tomorrow night. Proper music, boys and girls. Listen in, 10 o'clock.
In 3 minutes.
And yes, you can start posting boobs, but not yet. Only in 3 minutes. Net FM Classic Rock.